Boy, you may want to keep your distance.
Why? Are you threatening me?
Nah, nothing like that. It's just, well, I think I ate a bad can of meat. Okay, maybe it was 3 cans. Seemed pretty tasty at first, but now it's got my guts all in a twist. And, well, you can probably smell it from there. Longneck Lukowski's canned meat my ass. Longneck Lukowski's canned poison, more like it. Here, have the rest of it. I'm never touching the stuff again as long as I live. Assuming I live through the day. Ugh. And if you happen to see that Lukowski, tell him I hope he dies in a goddamn fire. Oh, God. Sorry. Probably better if you get going. If it's anything like last time, it's about to get kind of messy.
Alright gamers, you are watching What You Gaming On, where I normally start every episode by asking you what you're gaming on. If you want to tell me what you're gaming on, tell me in the comments the game you're playing, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Leave that in the comments on any of my social media, or you can email me at whatyougamingon@gmail.com. Your answer will, 100% will be featured in an upcoming episode of What You Gaming On. But this episode's going to be a little different because this will be part 1 of my E3 2018 highlights. We've got a lot of game announcements to go through, so we're just going to go ahead. We're not going to talk about what I've been gaming on. We're just going to go ahead and jump right in to the highlights for E3 2018. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off with Anthem. I actually talked about Anthem a little bit in my last video when I was talking more about Mass Effect Andromeda and how BioWare and EA handled that, and that we really need to hold these video game companies to a higher standard. But I also admit that I'm going to keep giving them money because they're going to keep making and publishing games that I want to play, like Anthem. Everything we saw about Anthem, it looks great. We didn't see a whole lot of new things that really shocked me from Anthem. Like, everything we saw kind of it kind of went in line with what we were expecting from this game. It's a third-person shooter with it's a multiplayer MMO. You're gonna have this world that you're going around in your javelins, which are basically like these different Iron Man suits, and you have 4 different classes. The Ranger being like kind of the most the best of all world suit. Like you don't really want to focus on one thing. You just kind of want to be your basic fighter with, you know, your basic skills. And then they had other ones like the Storm and the Colossus. I don't remember what the third one was, but the 2 others were Storm and Colossus. I really liked how the Colossus looks. It's that really big, gigantic Hulkbuster armor, but I have a feeling that when I do jump into Anthem, I'm going to play Colossus, and it's not going to be my play style. Like, I'm not going to enjoy playing the Colossus as much as I would like to, and I'll probably just end up sticking with the Ranger class. But everything we saw about it, it looked great, it looked exciting, it looked fun. But some of the things that they said about it is kind of what caught my interest. So first off, it is an MMO. It is a multiplayer online third-person shooter, and how they're doing this, because this is very different from BioWare's other games of basically being strong single player games, while like having some fairly decent fairly decent multiplayer aspects to it in games like Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect Andromeda, and Dragon Age Inquisition. But this one, multiplayer is the big thing about it, and you have this entire world that, from what they said, is a world left by the gods, or left behind by the gods. The gods stopped doing whatever it was the gods were doing, and there's this Anthem of Creation, and that's where the title comes from. It's an anthem of creation. I don't know if that's some mythological song, or maybe Anthem is like a radio frequency that changes things in the world, but the world is also going to be changing. Apparently, the world will also go through changes, so that every time you get into the world of Anthem, something is going to be different, which that sounds really interesting. It also sounds really ambitious. They also wanted to assure fans that also there is a single player element, that while you're out in the world in your javelin, doing whatever it is you're going to be doing in Anthem, there is a single player aspect once you get back to your base. Now, I wasn't 100% clear on what this base is, if it's a set place or if it's like this giant walking base like you saw like an AT-AT or just like some walking structure that's traveling around the world that you can jump in on, and that's your base. And in that base, it shifts perspective from the third person to the first person, but I do believe there is customization of your first person character, but I don't know if that character is going to be voiced or if we're going to see that character in any of like the cutscenes. But you will have characters to talk to, you will be building relationships with these characters. I believe they said they're at least not focusing on any romantic entanglements in Anthem, that it's not going to be that kind of game, that you will have your story that is based on your decisions, but it's still multiplayer. It's still going to be focusing more on the multiplayer. Something they also said about Anthem, and I believe this was in, no, this wasn't a press release, they were on stage and they were just asking questions from Twitter, and one of the questions was, microtransactions, loot boxes, what's going to be the deal with Anthem? And they said this, that there will be no loot boxes. There will be no pay to win. There will be microtransactions, but whatever you're buying, you're going to see what you're buying. And I believe most of what you're buying is going to be cosmetic so that you can change the javelins so that they look the way you want them to look. If they're going to have any microtransactions of like an awesome gun, I don't know how that'll affect, but they said there's no loot boxes, no pay to win. And I think this is a great thing. I think that is a great way to like really introduce, as we're coming on this game that's coming out within a year, that there's not going to be loot boxes. We don't have to worry about loot boxes. But again, this is EA. This is EA, and unfortunately, BioWare's record, in my opinion, is kind of tarnished right now, so I want to take this with a grain of salt. Just like I want to take this next bit of news with a grain of salt. This was in an interview with someone after E3, but they were talking more about what BioWare is working on in general, and that most of BioWare is working on Anthem. That is BioWare's priority, and that makes sense. It is a big endeavor that they're going for with Anthem, but they did say that they do have teams working on Dragon Age, so Dragon Age 4 or whatever Dragon Age 4 or Dragon Age insert title here, whatever the next installment of Dragon Age, it's being worked on, it is coming. And this little bit of knowledge is they said Mass Effect is not dead. Mass Effect, the series, the franchise, Mass Effect is not dead, which, again, we want to take this with a grain of salt. But if we look at that it wasn't even an announcement, is something they just said, I think that's a really good thing. I think that's not even a really good thing. That's a great thing. The fact that we have just a sliver, just the tiniest bit of hope that we will see a new Mass Effect game, whether it'll be Mass Effect Andromeda 2 or if it'll be some other Mass Effect series, I think is a great thing. And like I did this against my better judgment, but I started speculating and theorizing what a future Mass Effect game would look like. That if they did Mass Effect Andromeda, they would obviously continue that storyline. But if they did, like kind of, they just, they said, you know what, we're not going to do Andromeda, we're going to do something new, which would suck because I really want to see more stories in that galaxy. But I think it would be really cool if they went back and did something in the Milky Way galaxy. And personally, I think that a game that takes place, even a trilogy that takes place in the first contact war between the humans and the Turians, and about humans, like their first days joining the galactic community, I think that would be really interesting. But again, that's just my own theories and speculations, or not even speculation, just hopes. That's just my hopes that based on what they said, Mass Effect is not dead. But we're going to go ahead and move on. That's enough about EA and BioWare. The next thing I'm talking about is Halo Infinite. They gave us a teaser, and I literally mean just a teaser, of the next Halo game. They showed a lot of really nice forests. They showed some herds of really sci-fi looking animals. They showed some soldiers driving around in a warthog, and then they showed that they were on one of the Halo rings, where you see, like when you look at the Halo horizon, it has the ring kind of going up around the middle and all the way around. They showed that, and then at the very end they just showed like Master Chief like the back of his armor, not above his shoulders, and his hand goes down and he's holding his helmet. And that's literally all we saw of the next Halo game, which is Halo Infinite. Based on that teaser and the fact that that teaser was not entirely focused on Master Chief, it was focused on more like the soldiers driving around the Warthog and just this big world of a Halo that we're going to go on. And this is not anything I've read. This is simply just the feeling I got from this teaser. I kind of have a feeling Halo Infinite is going to be some kind of MMO. Maybe it won't be like the Halo. I don't know that it would be the Halo MMO. Like Destiny kind of feels like it should have been the Halo MMO. But I do have a feeling that multiplayer and single player might be kind of combined into this big open Halo world. Just the kind of that's just the kind of feeling I got from it. I haven't read anything up on it after, if they like clarified what it's going to be. I haven't read that yet, but just from the teaser in E3, that's kind of the feeling I got, especially since it was called Halo Infinite and not Halo 6 Infinite or Halo 6. It's Halo Infinite, so it does. I do kind of feel like that might be some kind of MMO. Moving on, we've got Sea of Thieves. I can't believe I didn't write this down. I forgot what the two big expansions that they released are called, and I don't remember everything about them, but I do remember that we are getting skeleton ships. We are getting the skeletons who are the PvE element on Sea of Thieves, aside from sharks and krakens and the megalodon. Skeletons are the PvE elements, and they're going to be sailing around on ships. At least that's what I'm led to believe from the teaser that we saw at E3, is that skeletons are going to have their own ships. They're going to be sailing around, boarding us, fighting us, and I think that's great. That is exactly what I want from Sea of Thieves. I want more PvE ship fights, and I think that would be great. I'm so excited for this. But moving on, Gears of War 5. Yes, they announced, not only did they announce, they showed gameplay and cinematic footage and even story elements of Gears of War 5. And this is going to throw you. It features Kate and Del. As far as I saw from the teaser, JD is not part of the squad that you're traveling with. Marcus is not part of the squad that you're traveling with. You're just traveling with Kate and Del. They did show Marcus and JD, and it does look like that humanity's coming together to fight the Swarm, this new reincarnation of the Locust. They're coming together to fight the Swarm, and JD, it kind of sucks. I really enjoyed the character of KD, and now he's become he looks like this hard-ass military dude, that my way or the highway type highway. Wow, type of mentality. His head is shaved, but he's got a full beard and something wrong with his arm. We don't know what that's about, but he was kind of an asshole in the trailer. And then Del and Kate, someone died that was very important to Kate. We don't know who it was. Maybe it was Oscar. We saw that Oscar survived at the end of Gears of War. Maybe it was Oscar, which that seems dumb to show that a character we thought died didn't actually die just to kill him off again. That sounds really dumb, but they did show the story of Gears of War 5, or at least from what we could tell from this teaser, is that they're really diving in to the mystery that we saw at the end of Gears of War, that somehow Kate is connected to the Locust through her grandmother. The necklace that her mother wore that she gives to Kate that we see is a Locust emblem, and there's some connection to the Locust. We don't know what that is, but it looks like this game is going to be exploring that, which I think is great. But there's just something about this announcement and the teaser that, to me, it didn't feel like a new chapter in Gears of War. It didn't feel like this was going to be Gears of War 5. To me, it felt more like this was going to be a extended DLC for Gears of War 4, but they're just making it Gears of War 5. Maybe that's because that there's no the game isn't being led by a Phoenix, which the four chapters of Gears of War 1 through 4, were all led by Phoenix. We had Marcus Phoenix, then we had JD Phoenix. Gears of War Judgment, as great of a game as it is, it's very different from the Gears of War trilogy, and it's led by Baird and Cole, and it happens before Gears of War 1 and then kind of towards the end of Gears of War 3. But as great of a game as it wasn't like a full new chapter of Gears of War, as much as it was kind of this it was like an extended DLC for Gears of War 3. So to me, just this trailer, it just, I don't know. And you know what? Maybe it's because it's like Kate is the main character and it's a girl, and that's something very different from Gears of War. And maybe I'm kind of like adjusting to that and kind of, adjusting to that, I'm going to be playing a girl. I'm going to be playing Kate instead of Marcus Phoenix or JD Phoenix. And if that's the case, I guess I have a little bit of growing to do. But it just, something about it didn't feel like this was Gears of War 5. Maybe it's because it was just unexpected. I don't know. Despite any of it, I'm still excited for it. I love Gears of War, and I'm very excited to be diving into the mystery around Kate and her heritage and her connection to the Locust. And from what we saw, it looks really good. So I'm looking forward to this, but that's not all they had to announce about Gears of War 5. They also are making a game called either Gears Tactics or Gears of War Tactics, which Alana Pierce actually made the joke Gears of War Wars, like Halo Wars, which I fully appreciate, and that's exactly what this looks like. It looks like it's going to be this kind of real-time strategy, troop movement, organizing, gathering resources, and fighting the Locust kind of thing that happens during the actual Locust War, or maybe it happens during the Swarm War. Maybe Gears Tactics will be kind of an insight into what's happening with the greater war while Kate and Dale go off on their own little adventure. But it sounds cool. But the other thing, and this was really just a WTF moment, at least for me, because this was the first thing they announced in terms of Gears of War, is Gears Pops. And by Gears Pops, I mean Gears of War and then Pops, like Pop Funko Pops, like the Pops that I've obsessively been collecting over the last 3 years. Like they showed a little video and you see like Pop Marcus come in, and then he and whichever other Pop characters join forces and they fight the other Pop characters, and it's going to be a mobile game. At first I was like, maybe this is just like the introduction and it's like Gears of War sponsored by Funko Pop Funko. But no, this is an actual game. This is going to be a mobile game. And it just from what I can tell from what they showed is that you're gonna assemble your own little team of Pops, and then you either fight other players' little teams of Pops, and it doesn't even matter if it's human or Locust or whatever. It's just whatever Pops you want for your team. You use yours, you fight someone else's, you fight someone, and it looks kind of like a, I don't even know what to call it. I had no idea how to react to this. I just kind of sat there staring with my mouth wide open. But you know what? Maybe it'll be cool. It's a phone game, so I don't think it'll be a big deal. But let's move on to Cyberpunk 2077. And this was probably the biggest announcement in terms for me and got me so excited. Like the entirety of E3 up until Cyberpunk 2077, aside from just the WTF of Gears Pop, Cyberpunk 2077 was the thing I got most excited about because it's CD Projekt Red. It's this futuristic thing, and I actually just recently learned that Cyberpunk 2077 is actually based off of a tabletop RPG, which I had no idea about. I did not know that, but that's really cool. I'm looking forward to it. The trailer they showed looked amazing. It looked like, honestly, to break it down, it looks like futuristic Grand Theft Auto. The downside of this, and this was something that was announced later after the E3, was that it's going to be first person. You can create your own character, but the game is going to be first person. Whether this game will be first person only, or if they'll have the option to switch, like games like Fallout or Grand Theft Auto 5, we don't know. And CD Projekt Red commented on this, and there's been a lot of backlash to this announcement that a lot of people are like pushing back against the idea of this game being first person. And CD Projekt Red commented on this, saying that they gave this a lot of thought, and they're glad people care. They're glad people are sharing their opinions, and they can, take the response and do what they will with it. But they said it's because they wanted that story to feel more like it's happening to you, where in The Witcher, it's all third person. That is a story about Geralt. But they want this story to be about you, about your character that you get to customize and that you get to create, which I can appreciate that answer, but I still feel like, and it goes down to preference. I don't like first person shooters nearly as much as I like third person shooters. So having a game that I was so excited about, this is just like Sea of Thieves, having a game that I'm so excited about to find out it's only going to be first person just it was just really disappointing to find that out. But at the same time, it's CD Projekt Red. Of the games they've done, which as far as I know, they've just done the Witcher trilogy, they make great games. They make great games. They have an amazing business model when it comes to DLCs and microtransactions, like they did with Witcher 3. And it sounds like I don't remember if they said there's not going to be microtransactions for this. I don't remember. But the way they've handled it is great, and it's CD Projekt Red. So even if I'm a little disappointed about the fact that it might just be first person, I'm still confident that I'm going to enjoy the game. So next we've got Elder Scrolls. I'm sorry, I just gave a big teaser, but what the hell? We're going to go in. They teased that, Bethesda teased that they are, in fact, working on Elder Scrolls 6. We don't have a title for it. It was literally just a landscape teaser shot with the words Elder Scrolls 6 across the thing. They wanted to let us know they are working on it. But they're not only working on that, they're also working on a new Elder Scrolls game called Elder Scrolls Blades, and it's for your phone. It is a first-person RPG where it's first person and you're one of the blades. You're one of the ancient blades, which we got to know a lot about in Skyrim, about what they used to do. And I think the blades were in Oblivion. I don't know. I didn't play as much Oblivion, nearly as much as I played Skyrim. But you're a blade and you return to your town, and it's been decimated, wherever your town is. They don't say where your town is, but it's in Tamriel, and you go about on an adventure and you build it back up, and you build your town however you want to build it, and it's going to be a phone game. They said that eventually they'll put it on other things like consoles or PC or the Switch, but for right now, for when it comes out, it's going to be a phone game. And honestly, this sounds like the Elder Scrolls game literally no one asked for. I would rather, if they want to make an Elder Scrolls game, I would rather them make a mobile Elder Scrolls game similar to what they did with Fallout Shelter. Fallout Shelter, like, it's not the best game ever, but for a phone game, for me to, a few minutes a day to look at my phone and organize my vault dwellers and decide where I want to do and what I want to build, like that, it's a fun game. Fallout Shelter was a fun game. Whereas Elder Scrolls Blades, like, one, is this going to crash my phone? Two, is this going to just zap my battery life? Because what they were showing looked great. Like, it's not just some little, itsy phone game. Like, you're fighting, like, fully animated skeletons and monsters. So, like, how much is this going to zap my phone battery? That I can play it on the go, but I'm probably going to have to play it plugged in. So I don't know. It's free, so I'm gonna check it out, but it's not something that I've got high hopes for. But of course, Bethesda's big announcement, I think the announcement everyone was more concerned about, was more information about Fallout 76, and they delivered. So they did confirm it is going to be an online survival MMO, and they actually coined the term. It's a soft-core survival game. It takes place not right after the bombs fell, but within a very short amount of time after the bombs fell, where you and all the other players emerge from Vault 76, the first vault that was built to commemorate the tercentenary. Is that the word for 300 years? Tercentenary. And that not only is it going to be multiplayer, but all of the humans within this game are going to be other players. So there aren't going to be a mom and pop post-apocalyptic store run by two human NPCs. He used this example, which I don't understand how this would work. But if you see a sign that says ammunition for sale, that wasn't put there by an NPC, that was put there by a player who is, I guess, somehow selling ammunition. So maybe there's going to be some kind of system where you can set up your own shop for the dozens of other players on your server. I don't know how that's going to work, but they did say that aside from the human characters, and there's going to be the obvious monsters and ghouls, and probably some super mutants. Would there be super mutants at this point? Would there be ghouls at this point? Like, it's very early in the Fallout timeline. I don't know. I don't know if there would be super mutants and ghouls yet. But all the other humans, as they're going to be players, there will be robots, much like Codsworth in Fallout 4. There will be robots, and they will, in some ways, help you move the story along, give you missions, give you quests, give you information. So while all the humans are going to be other players, there will be robots. There's also a building component. It's not the biggest component, and it's not like it was in Fallout 4 where you just go to a base area and just build up that base. It's more of like a kind of mobile camp that you can set up wherever you go. That the way they set it is that you could build it and then unbuild it and then build it back up somewhere else, and you can build it anywhere. There's no like, you know, area where this is your campsite and this is where you have to build it. You can build it apparently anywhere, and that camp can be destroyed by other players, by monsters, or, and this was kind of the thing that I kind of started to get a little worried about, is that you can also nuke someone else's camps, and not with just a fat boy bomb. Like, you can go to a nuclear missile silo and launch a nuke that can destroy an area or another player's base. And this kind of made me worried. But Todd Howard from Bethesda said, he's like, no, we don't want this game to be a griefer experience. So that, you know, if you're gonna go after to nuke someone's camp, like, there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through. Like, it's not easy to get access to a nuclear missile. So even if you do get it, like, you have to go through a lot. But as far as saying more about this not being a griefer experience, he did say that you can play the game solo, but the best way to play it, or the easiest way to play it to overcome the challenges, is to group up with your friends and other players. If this means, but he did say that you can play it solo, so I don't know if that means that there will be, like, I can, you know, when I jump into Fallout 76, I can choose, I just want to play on my own server. I don't want anyone else playing in that server. I just want to be on my own. I don't want to run into anyone. I don't want anyone else logging into this server. Or if it will simply mean there will be ways that you can avoid the other players in this game. And already that seems like something that will happen even if you don't want to, because he said there will only be dozens of players, and dozens, so like maybe like a few dozen, so maybe 12, 24, 36. So 36. So there may only be 36 players in a server at a time. But the game is 4 times bigger. The map is 4 times bigger than Fallout 4. So that's pretty damn big. So even if you are playing in a fully populated server, it may be that you don't even run into someone else that is playing the game. But that was something that was promised for, oh God, what's that name? No Man's Sky. What's the game? No Man's Sky. That was promised for something for No Man's Sky a little more extensively, that it would be very, very unlikely that you would ever run into another player on No Man's Sky, and it literally happened on day one of launch. They proved that that is not true. But again, this is Bethesda. They're really good about, in my opinion, they're really good about stepping up to the promises they make. They really come through. So, like, Fallout 76 looks great. It looks great, but it also looks like Fallout 4. The outfits look like Fallout 4. Everything from it looks just like Fallout 4, so I kind of got the feeling that it's on a new or very similar game engine that they're running it on, which, you know, would make sense. They did Fallout 3, and then Fallout New Vegas was the new game, but it was basically just a reskin of Fallout 3, and then now they got Fallout 4, now Fallout 76, which is again a new thing, but it might just, in a lot of ways, might just be a reskin of Fallout 4, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think Fallout 4 is great. I think it's a great game. I think the story is great. I think the characters are fun. I like the way everything looks and the way everything behaves. It looks great. So running it on that same engine for Fallout 76, I don't think is a bad thing. So yes, I'm very excited about Fallout 76. I'm very, very excited about Fallout 76. I even pulled out my old cosplay Pip-Boy and started messing around with it again, just because I'm excited for Fallout 76. But that is it for part 1 of my E3 2018 highlights. So let me know what you thought of the games I mentioned and any of the games in E3 that you really want to talk about. Let me know in the comments or on any of my social media, and check back in just a few days for part 2 of my E3 highlights. So if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it so other gamers can join in the conversation. Also, subscribe to my channel and go to www.treyguillotine.com to read my video game reviews as well as all my other content. That's www.treyguillotine.com. And if you want to tell me what you're gaming on, the game you're playing, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, let me know in the comments on any of my social media or email me at whatyougamingon@gmail.com. But until part 2, I will say goodbye and keep on gaming, gamers.